Picture this, you're sitting in your car, waiting at the Starbucks drive-thru. You just spent $6.5 on a latte. While you wait, you scroll through Instagram and see someone posting about their real estate investments, and you think, I want that too. I want to build wealth too. Then you come home, sit on your $2,000 couch that you bought on credit. You turn on your 65-inch TV that you're still paying for, and you say to yourself, someday I'm going to be rich. I just need the right time. Sound familiar? Because this is exactly what 73% of people do, according to a 2023 Federal Reserve study. They think like rich people. They talk like rich people. They dream like rich people. But they act exactly like poor people. My name is Mark, and I spend way too much time thinking about the difference between thinking rich and acting poor. If you are someone who wants to thrive, who thinks big, who is constantly consuming content about personal finances, investments, and millionaire mentality, but your daily habits are still of absolute scarcity, this video is for you. Because here's the problem. I know hundreds, literally hundreds of people who say they want wealth, who talk about financial freedom all the time, who have Pinterest boards full of mansions and Lamborghinis, but then they make small decisions. They spend $200 a month on clothes to look successful on Instagram. They avoid investing $50 a month in a course that could double their income. They put off opening an investment account because they don't have enough money yet. And they react with absolute fear of money instead of using it strategically as a tool. Bottom line, your mindset says, I want to be rich, but your behavior screams, I'm in survival mode. And that incoherence, that massive gap between what they say they want and what they actually do, it's exactly what keeps them stuck in the same place year after year. So if this describes you, make sure to subscribe and like this video if it helps you. Because I'm going to dismantle this illusion piece by piece. The real problem. Look, let's start with something no one wants to admit. Thinking rich is easy. It's comfortable. It doesn't cost anything. You can read all the Robert Kiyosaki books you want. You can listen to finance podcasts while you go to work. You can follow 47 financial influencers on TikTok. And all that makes you feel productive, right? It makes you feel like you're doing something. But here's the brutal truth. Thinking doesn't build wealth. The actions do. And the reason why so many people get stuck in this cycle, it is because they have confused consuming information with taking action. They have confused aspiration with implementation. Let me give you a concrete example. According to a 2024 Fidelity Investment study, 81% of millennials and Gen Z, they say that investing is important for your financial future. 81%. That's huge, right? But guess how many actually have an active investment account? 34%. Less than half. So what is happening to the other 47%? They are thinking like rich people. They know they should invest, they understand the power of compound interest. They could probably even explain it to you over dinner. But they are not investing. They are not acting. And this is where it gets really interesting. Because this isn't just laziness. It's not just procrastination. There is something much deeper going on here. The psychology behind behavior. Here's what most people don't realize. Acting poor is an emotional protection mechanism. Let me explain to you. When you think rich but act poor, what you're really doing is protecting yourself from failure. Because if you never try to invest, you can never fail to invest. If you never start that business, it can never go bankrupt. If you never learn that new skill, you may never discover that you are not as good as you thought. It is a brilliant psychological shield. And your brain does this unconsciously because it is designed to keep you safe, not to make you rich. Now you might be thinking, hey Mark, that sounds good in theory, but I don't really have the money to invest right now. I'm not protecting myself from failure. I'm just being realistic. And look, I get it. I really understand it. But let me show you something. According to the United States Bureau of Labor Statistics, the average American spends $3,526 a year on entertainment. That's $294 a month. In things like streaming, going out to eat, concerts, Netflix, Spotify. Now, I'm not saying you should live like a monk, but what I'm saying is this: if you invest just $200 of that $294 a month, In an S&P 500 index fund with a historical average return of 10% per year, in 30 years, you would have $452,097, almost $500,000. Just cutting your entertainment by 2/3. Do you see the difference? People who think like rich people say, "Someday I'll invest when I have more money." People who act rich say, "I'm going to redirect $200 of my current spending toward my future today." The 5 behaviors that give you away. Let me be specific about the exact behaviors that separate those who think like rich from those who act like rich. Because once you see these patterns, you can't unsee them. Behavior 1. Spending for show versus invest to grow. Here's the thing. People who act poor but think rich spend money on status signals. A new iPhone every year, brand clothing, a nicer car than they need. Because they want the outside world to reflect the image they have of themselves in their head. They want people to see them as successful before they actually are. According to a 2023 Credit Karma study, 40% of millennials admitted to spending money that they did not have to maintain their image on social networks. 40%. Meanwhile, people who really build wealth do the opposite. Warren Buffett lives in the same house he bought in 1958 for $31,500. Mark Zuckerberg drives a Honda Fit. These guys have billions, and you wouldn't even know it by how they dress or what they drive. Because they understand something fundamental. Every dollar you spend on appearance, it's a dollar that's not working for you. If you spend $800 on Air Jordan sneakers to see yourself successful, that $800 evaporated. They left. They will never return. But if you invest that $800 and let it grow at 10% annually for 20 years, it becomes $5,387 for a single pair of shoes that you might not have bought. And here's the crazy thing, most people do this repeatedly. It's not a pair of shoes. There are 10 pairs, that's 15 expensive dinners. There are 5 technological gadgets that they use twice. Behavior 2. Avoid investing in yourself. This one frustrates me more than any other, because that's where I see people sabotage themselves most dramatically. Let's say there's an online course, a coding bootcamp, or a certification program that could teach you a $100,000 a year skill. The course costs $2,000. What does the person who thinks rich but acts poor do? He says, "Ooh, $2,000 is a lot of money. I can't afford it right now, maybe next year." Meanwhile, that same person spends $2,000 in 6 months on small purchases they don't even remember. $150 worth of clothes here, $80 to go out to dinner there, $45 on another gadget from Amazon. Here's the mathematical difference. If that course helps you get a job that pays $20,000 more a year, you recovered your investment in just over a month. And every month after that, for the rest of your career, you're earning more thanks to that unique investment. But people who act poor see education, skills, and personal growth as expenses, like something they can't afford. People who act rich see these things as the only expenses that are truly worth it, because they are the only things that multiply your ability to win. Behavior 3. Waiting for the perfect moment. Hey, this one is big, probably the most common. I'm going to start investing when I get a raise. I'm going to start that side business when I have more time. I'll learn that skill when things calm down at work. Do you know what all these phrases have in common? They never happen. Because here's the inconvenient truth. There is never a perfect moment. You will never have enough money, enough time, enough clarity. Rich people understand this. That's why they act with what they have right now. Look, you don't need $10,000 to start investing. You can open an account with $0 and start buying fractions of shares with $10. $10. You don't need 20 free hours a week to start a side business. You can start with 3 hours on Sunday mornings. You don't need to have it all figured out before taking the first step. You just need to take the first step, and then the next, and then the next. But people who act poor are waiting, always waiting. And while they wait, the people who act rich are building, growing. Behavior 4. reacting with fear to money. Here's something fascinating. People who think rich have an emotional relationship with money. Money makes them feel anxious, stressed, overwhelmed. So what do? They avoid dealing with it. They don't check your bank account. They don't look at their credit card statements. They do not calculate their expenses. It's like being afraid of the doctor, so you avoid getting checkups, and then you're surprised when you're diagnosed with something serious that could have been prevented. According to a 2024 Bankrate study, 62% of Americans feel anxious, and of that 62%, more than half admit to actively avoiding thinking about their money. That's pure avoidance. And avoidance never ever builds wealth. On the other hand, people who act rich treat money as neutral information. It is neither good nor bad, it's just data. So they review their numbers every week. They know exactly how much goes in, how much goes out, and where it goes. And this is what most don't realize. When you face your reality, fear dissipates. Because now you have clarity. And clarity gives you power. Behavior 5. Small decisions in everything. This is the final pattern. People who think like rich make small decisions. They choose comfort over growth. They choose immediate gratification over long-term benefit. They choose the familiar route over the route that scares them. And look, this makes evolutionary sense. Your brain is programmed to keep you safe. But here's the problem. Small decisions produce small results. If you want big results, you have to make big decisions. And big decisions are uncomfortable. They are scary. They require you to bet on yourself. The mathematics that changes everything. Let me show you something that should click. Let's say you're 25 years old and you make $45,000 a year. It's not much. Scenario 1. Act poor. You spend everything you earn. Maybe you save $1,000 a year, just in case. You get increases of 3% annually. At 65 years old, you have earned $2.6 million. But since you spent everything, you have nothing. Scenario 2. Acting rich. Same starting salary. But you live on 80% of your income and invest 20%. As your salary grows, you maintain the habit of investing 20%. At age 65, you have invested about $520,000 over your lifetime. But with interest compounded at 10%, that account is worth $3.9 million. Let me repeat that, $3.9 million. Of the same salary, from the same years. The only difference is the behavior, not the mentality, not the thoughts, the behavior. How to close the gap. Now you might be thinking, okay Mark, I get it, I'm acting poor. What do I do about it? Here's the thing, you can't change everything at once. That is overwhelming and you will fail. Instead, you need to choose one specific action. Step 1. Audit your current reality. Before changing anything, you need to know where you are. This week, do this. Review your bank statements from the last 3 months. Categorize each expense: housing, food, transportation, entertainment, etc. Calculate your current savings rate, how much you save versus how much you earn. Without judgment. Data only. Because you can't close a gap you haven't measured. Step 2. Identify one behavior. Look at your spending and ask yourself, what is the biggest spending pattern? Maybe it's $200 a month in takeout, or $150 in subscriptions you don't use. Choose the largest one. Just that one. Step 3. Automate rich behavior. Here's the key. Don't rely on your willpower. Automate it. Set up an automatic transfer to an investment account the day you receive your payment. Not see if you have any leftovers. You won't do it manually. Automate it. Step 4. Replace. Don't delete. Don't just remove poor behavior. Did you spend $150 on clothes? Now you spend $30 on basics and invest $120. Did you spend $200 in restaurants? Now you go out less and invest the difference. Because if you just delete without replacing, you will feel deprived and you will break the habit. Step 5. Track your progress weekly. Every Sunday, check your account. Watch how it grows. Celebrate every small victory. Because what we track, we improve. The uncomfortable truth about wealth. Look, I'm going to be honest with you, building wealth is not exciting. It's not sexy. It doesn't give instant dopamine. Investing doesn't feel as good as buying those sneakers you wanted. Saying no to an expensive dinner doesn't make you feel cool in the moment. And that's why most never build wealth. Because they are optimizing to feel rich today, not to be rich tomorrow. But after you do it for 6 months, something changes. The behavior becomes natural. Watching your account grow becomes addictive. And your behavior finally matches your thinking. And that moment is when your financial life really takes off. The change of identity. Here's the last concept. Money follows identity. If your identity is I am someone who thinks rich, your brain will seek to validate that identity. But if your identity is I'm someone who acts rich, your brain will look for action. So how do you change your identity? Simple. You stop identifying with your thoughts and you begin to identify with your actions. Don't say, I am someone who wants to be free. Say, I'm someone who invests 20% of my income. One is aspirational, the other is factual, and your brain responds to the facts. Conclusion. At the end of the day, this is what matters. In 10 years, you won't remember the $6.5 coffee or the $200 sneakers, but you are absolutely going to remember if you took action today, or if you kept procrastinating. The gap does not close with more information or motivation. It closes with a decision. Because the truth is this, rich people were not born rich. They were not lucky, they simply closed the gap between what they thought and what they did. Again and again. So tell me in the comments, what is the one action you are going to take this week? If this video helped you, like and subscribe. See you in the next video.